Today I'm at the home of Weston Cider. I'm about to interview Helen Thomas, Managing Director of Westons. She is the fourth generation of a fifth generation family business. I'm very excited. Weston Cider is something I've been drinking for many, many years. It's a fantastic product produced here locally in Herefordshire. And I know she's going to give us some fantastic tips on what she believes are the most important things in family business.
Well, Weston's has been at Muchmarcle since 1878. My great-grandfather came to the Bounds here as a tenant farmer with a young wife and started farming here. Most farmers in those days made their own cider, so he continued to make cider, and he was encouraged to make more of it because he made a particularly good cider by his neighbours. So he then started to buy fruit from local farmers and then sell it back to them. So that's been going on for generations as such. You know, we've been making cider here at Muchmarcle and making more of it, and it's become more important to the business, the cider side of the business rather than the farming side. So we still farm here. We have Hereford cattle and sheep, and then most of our arable ground now is being turned over to bush orchards, and then the old standard orchards are organic, and we make organic cider from those apples. So yes, it's been through generations. My grandfather was Hubert Weston, and then he had Norman, my father, and of course I'm here with my two brothers and two sisters. We're sort of the fourth generation, and I've got my son in the business. He's a cider maker guy, and then I've got a nephew, Charlie Weston, in the business, and my niece Amelia. She's at university, but she still works in the holidays here to earn some extra money for university life. I think when I became a director of the business, I needed to know what I needed to do. So that was the first thing I asked, what are we doing? What is my purpose as a director of the business? And really it was to have a plan, to know the direction that the business needed to go and to work in that direction. So my first thing was, well, what are our core objectives? What's our strategy, and how are we going to take the business forward? And that's always been the case. So we sort of work on a 3-year timetable as such. So where do we want to be in 3 years' time, and then how are we going to get there? And through doing that, you actually map out what you need to do and how you're going to get there. So we keep redoing it, and that then gathers momentum. We know what we're going to need. We sort of grow apples, and they only fruit once a year. Sure. So it's a long-term business. So if you want more fruit, you've got to go out and get the farmers to grow the fruit for you. You just can't turn them on overnight. So it's a long-term planning process. So planning, I feel, is really key to the direction and the success of the business. Being in a family business, a long-term business, you need to know where you're going. And so if we're wanting to be here for another 100 years, we have to make sure we've got sufficient fruit and we've got the right people working within the business to enable that to happen. So that's all part of what we need to do. And being in the cider industry, it's become more important because you just can't turn cider on like water. You know, you've got to grow the fruit, and they have to be established in orchards, and it's a long-term job, really. I think people are very important in the business. It's getting the right team around you and developing them. Everybody has a life cycle, so everybody goes up and then has to come down your old age, and it's really matching their expectations and the business's expectations and bringing them together so you get best fit. So we've started the Westons Academy, which is all about personal development, where we can actually see where people want to go to and then help them get to their own goals as such, and also meet the needs of the business during that time. So there are no surprises. You know you want to be whatever, and how are we going to get there? Is there a place here for you to do that? And if it is, then we can help you do that. So it's really trying to maximise people's potential in the right environment for the benefit of the business. So we start off with the induction. When people join us, they have an induction, so they know what the business is about, what's expected with them, with their job that they're to do, and then having appraisals, a training, development programme. So it all sort of comes together quite nicely. It all takes time, but you've got to invest that time to get the rewards from doing it. But it's also, we're all on a journey. So when you get married, you have children, babies, you have to manage that, factor that into it. You have your career, so you have your aspirations for your own career. And then when you're winding down a little for retirement, if you've been used to driving a big lorry, it becomes too much for you at a certain age, and so you want to downsize. And some of our drivers have gone into driving vans now because they enjoy their job, but they don't want to drive a big Arctic. They'd rather drive a van. So it works, but it's just actually managing that process, and everybody benefits. We're on a journey, and important things come up all the time along the way, and it's just really dealing with those as they come up. You know, I want the business to be here for future generations, and you just have to manage the problems and the opportunities as you go through, but being focused on what the end game is, and that is, you know, being here for future generations. So you've got to keep it, you know, active, thriving, profitable, doing the right things for the business and everything associated with the business. So that's the shareholders, the staff, the bankers, you know, your suppliers. It's all about sort of getting it right for everybody, and then just work it really.